Theater.
Welcome back to the hallowed theater that is the fighting game theater. I know we've done lots of Let's Watches of endings and cutscenes lately, so to switch it up, let's punch through the movie screen once again with the infamously bad Tekken the Motion Picture. No, not that one. Or that one. Yes, this one. This is the anime, or I apologize, I should use the proper term, the Japanimation, which Electric Wind God-fisted video stores back in 1998 from ADV Films. Directed by Kunihisa Shugisima of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Speedgrapher, and Beyblade fame, and written by Ryota Yamaguchi, who would go on to write for Escaflowne and nothing else, Tekken the Motion Picture is the seminal example of how to do everything wrong when adapting fighting games into an animated feature. Simplifying storylines, adding elements not from the games, terrible fight choreography, and an army of invisible raptors. So pull on your fighting gloves and slip on your Jaguar mask. I just don't even bother with that last. King isn't even in this. And let's
get ready for the next battle.
We start off with a narrator doing his best edgy teen spoken word album performance, where he goes off on the history of mankind and its predilection for violence and bloodshed. Blah, 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 blah. He drones on, and I can't really do it justice, so here it is in full.
Since the beginning of history, people have fought in the name of God, bending to the invented demands of their fickle deity and screaming for righteousness. They wantonly spill the blood of their enemies, as well as their own. The purpose behind this bloodshed, however, goes beyond simple explanations of religion or notions of justice. The truth is buried deep within those who wage the wars. Since the birth of this planet, a memory has become deeply engraved onto the genes of all living things. A memory of aggression as a means of survival. A memory of fighting. Humans seek to defend their actions in the name of truth. The act of fighting is itself a true act. Without this truth, the fighter will perish. To learn the way, ask your own flesh and blood, because one's flesh is the door to the truth. To master the way, ask your own ken or fist, because complete knowledge of one's flesh, blood, and fist is what creates one's Tekken, and Tekken is the key to life!
Dude, chill! Anyway, things are already getting off the rails with the opening scene, as our hero, Kazuya Mishima, is helping one Jun Kazama with some woodland creature drama.
Why are you crying? The bobcat. It got the mother rabbit.
Enter Papa Mishima, who takes umbrage with the fact that Kazuya is trying to comfort someone because showing empathy is somehow bad. But that's how old Heihachi rolls, I guess. He's of the old school, and if his offspring isn't also of said school, then there's probably a convenient cliff nearby for them to careen into the bottom of. Of course, any anime worth its salt will always include a scene where a precious keepsake is lost, whereupon it'll dramatically open up nice and wide, so even those sitting way back in row Z will know what's going on.
Momento.
Now, if you have even cursory knowledge about this long-running franchise, you'll know that Heihachi has never cared much for Kazuya because he's worried that nasty old devil gene, which always skips a generation, will most likely cause nothing but problems down the road.
Lions push their cubs over a cliff and raise only the ones that climb back up.
I don't think that's how that works. Now, while Tekken game lore has always been a bit murky, I'm pretty sure Heihachi raises Kazuya once he climbs back up the cliff, but in this, they make it seem like Kazuya's been left for dead, who then simply licks his wounds and then travels the world alone to get tough enough to kill his Da. There's really no point in dwelling on storyline inconsistencies in a production like this, so let's just move on. All the weird misty backgrounds are then explained away because this, of course, is a dream, so logically logically, we now have an excuse to show a woman in her underwear less than 5 minutes into the film. Yep, this is a fighting game anime, alright. Okay, can we pause right here? Yeah, okay. You know just what type of animation quality you're getting whenever you see a water effect that looks like this. That's hentai water, folks. It's unmistakable. Then, after some drab establishing shots, we are treated to one of the most drawn out and honestly hard to get through info dumps I've ever witnessed, with 2 voice actors who wanted nothing to do with this.
Impossible. These must be wrong.
Yes, it would appear so. The gene combination described in that report could not exist in nature. Barring an unexpected alien invasion last month, those cells must have been man-made.
Jesus, 75 different anime tropes occur all at once here. Overly shiny glasses, 90s as hell dubbing, and a nonsense plotline with no connection to the source material. Anyway, Jun Kazama is getting sent to fight in the King of Iron Fist contest to investigate whether or not Heihachi's Mishima Corporation might be dabbling with human cloning or dinosaur clone. I don't know. I don't fucking know. What I do know is that the tournament will be taking place on a tropical island for some reason, which begs the question, do you remember how Tekken games took place in venues all over the world? Exciting locales that showed off a lot of environmental diversity? Yeah, that's no longer a thing. Get accustomed to the same jungle backgrounds used, reused, and then used again.
The best fighters in the world come to his competition to fight for the $1 billion first prize.
Now, that's another thing. I don't recall there ever being an explicit prize for winning the King of Iron Fist. I mean, it's safe to assume, but it was never really the focus. But I guess we're upping the stakes now, considering there's a $1 billion prize pool. $1 billion! Now, this might shock you, but I'm not a mature adult with a business degree, but regardless, I have to say this seems pretty financially irresponsible. $1 million? Sure, that's a tax write-off, but Heihachi, my man, your shareholders ain't gonna be happy if someone actually wins this thing. That's at least like a year of net profit down the shitter. And are they gonna be taxed off that? Anyway, Jun is being pecked apart by seagulls when suddenly...
Who are you?
Oops. Sorry about that. You really are a student of the old school Kazuma Ryu, aren't you?
So yes, her boss, Shadow Glasses, didn't even tell her who she'd be working with, because she's apparently finding out right now. Okay, so Lei Wulong is a cool guy, but he's sort of awkwardly thrust into the story here as a main character. Kinda. It's also around this time where you'll notice that the story is attempting to amalgamate Tekken 1 and 2, which is a bad idea from a script perspective, but also poorly timed in general. This was released in 1998, a year after Tekken 3, one of the biggest hits on the original PlayStation, so I can't imagine what they were thinking here. Hey fellas, instead of basing this off the super hot popular entry that just came out, let's ignore it and clumsily adapt the last 2 games.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, yeah, who cares? Look, this transition is amazing.
If we're careless, this invitation could be a flattering one-way ticket to hell.
We are now introduced to Li Chaolan, who is a much more serious character here than in almost any of the games going forward. When he's not groveling at Heihachi's feet, he's driving around in lavish concept cars with Nina Williams. Doesn't that seem like a random pairing? Has any game established any type of connection twixt Lee and Nina before or since? Because in this movie, it makes it seem like they're an item.
The opponent this time is Kazuya Mishima. I have to finish him off, because I can't bear the thought of losing you.
Gotta love that late 90s Garbo soundtrack. Man, that boring sky could sure use a bolt of lightning. There it is! Okay, so we are now finally revealing the adult form of our protag. I think he's our protag, but we also spent a lot of time with Jun, whatever. From this point on, you're gonna hear this dude's growly growl a whole lot.
I'll never forgive you, father. You'll pay for this injury, the way you scarred me.
Get used to it. Alright, so then, just as Kazuya is shaking off his night terror... Oh god, let's see that again. Just slow it down even. Mwah! So what you're watching right now is one of the longest fight scenes offered in Tekken the motion picture, and just, yeah. Anyway, right here, listen carefully to Kazuya's yelp of terror. It's just so special. With her subtle stealth attack having failed, Nina then sinks back into the briny depths from whence she came. We then hard combo straight into a shower scene in case you forgot what you were watching. We then all collectively gasp as it seems Lee is two-timing the Williams sisters. Oh no! What if he accidentally sets up dates with both of them on the same night? Lee Chaolan's Sex Adventures, Friday nights at 9 on UPN. Anyway, Jun and Lei meet up the next morning, and we are gifted with this milestone line.
Oh, we better hurry. I think that's our boat to hell.
There's a bit of a scuffle involving Jack here, and our heroes decide to intervene. The hired goons then tell them that they're idiots.
You two are idiots!
Thank you, and then Lee shows up and suddenly declares that since there's been a lack of fighting in this fighting anime, demands that a spontaneous bout between Bruce Irvin and Jack will now commence. I guess this is the best they could come up with and how to shoehorn in another character. Jack KTFOs Bruce in one punch, everyone gets on Shang Tsung's boat, and we're off.
So these are the fighters that are going to be in the contest.
Did you catch the cameos in the background there? Well, savor it now, because that's the second to last time they'll ever even pop up. In fact, something that happens way more than seeing cool fan-favorite characters is casual sexism.
She looks a little skinny to be a world champion fighter, though, doesn't she?
When are you going to stop harping on and on about how weak and helpless women are?
Always needing to be extra, Kazuya suddenly appears on a bridge and does 43 flips in what I'm sure he thought was a really cool entrance. Lee then taunts him over this, but I do love that his inner monologue betrays him.
I'm sure our father will be delighted to hear that you will be entering the competition. Shit.
Jun, for her part, despite meeting Kazuya when she was like 6, for all of 2 minutes, instantly recognizes him because anime. We are then treated to a few more establishing shots, culminating in what just might be the most bizarrely random thing I've ever seen. A dump truck thick bear clumsily descending down a tree, and that's it. The bear never comes back or is ever referenced again. I mean, it might be Kuma, but he never even turns to the camera. He doesn't have his little neckerchief on. I don't know why this has happened. I don't know how this has happened, but just know that it happened. The tournament doesn't start until the next morning, so for now, let's enjoy this awkward scene of Jun confronting Kazuya.
I told you you're mistaken!
Why are you so upset? Is it because your father threw you off that cliff?
Yeah, that's kind of his fucking thing. Jun continues to admonish him until Nina decides she's had enough and wants desperately for something to happen in this movie. Wait, well, why do they want to kill Kazuya now when they could just kill him in the middle of the tournament? And wait, why did Lee send Anna to also kill Kazuya at the same time as he sent Nina?
Oops, gotta go. I guess I'll let you live until tomorrow.
Oh wait, she doesn't want to get caught, but this island is owned by Heihachi, so who cares if she's found out? It's what they're paying her. The next morning, we are treated to the final shot of all the characters that will never show up again. Yoshimitsu, Law, Armored King, Paul, Bayek, and an unarmored king, all of them demoted to background extras. Lee then finally establishes the rules of the King of Iron Fist tournament.
Each one of you will go to a different point in the jungle and will begin your trial from there. You will proceed to meet and defeat your opponents in the battlefield along the way. You'll fight your way across the playing field until you reach the island's central tower. Only one fighter will reach the tower. Prepare yourself.
That's not a tournament. That's like a battle royale, dude. Everyone go to a different part of the map, head inward, and fight whoever you stumble across. Like, who the fuck is the TO running this shit? Heihachi then briefly appears to look menacing, but suddenly...
Heihachi Mishima! This is payback!
It's that girl.
Never mind everything I said before, this movie's dope. Okay, while initially ludicrous, this is actually a big scene that establishes the rest of the running time. Every major character gets a monologue. Heihachi grows 100 feet tall, and we enter the third act. Kinda. What then proceeds is just a bunch of silly shit, so cue the fighting montage!
Hey, let's go! Kinkasuru! Taisetsu mono, protect my balls!
Lei sneaks into the underground base, which is literally the point of his and Jun's assignment, but Jun has long since stopped giving a shit about it and would rather save the soul, I guess, of a complete stranger instead of trying to take down the evil corporation that is breeding invisible raptors. Now, I say raptor because these gene-spliced abominations are clearly supposed to be modeled after Alex, but the way they are designed in this is like a child's drawing of what they think a dinosaur looks like. It's built more like a T-Rex, but even that's inaccurate. Lei then teams up with Jack and Smallchild to infiltrate Mishima's seedy underbelly, which includes fighting off a completely other Jack Pack attack. And yeah, spoilers, we find out that our huge robotic friend is indeed a robot. Now, what's Jun doing? Yep, still cutting a promo on Kazuya. Let's flip around. Oh yeah, we're reusing the same shot from earlier of Lee and Heihachi speaking in a firelit room. Great. Okay, let's go back to Lei. Oh wait, we have one of our few highlights of Tekken here, which shows the right way to use one of the series' silliest characters.
I really didn't think anything could surprise me anymore, but I was wrong, wasn't I? Huh?
There's something here! Ow!
As a short cameo, and that's it. A stark contrast when put against making one of them the focus of the entire narrative. And yeah, Dr. B is cool too, I guess. Anna and Nina then have their big showdown, which is good. They have a major rivalry in the game, so I'm glad they get this spotlight. Their fight lasts approximately for 8 seconds before Anna is eaten by a Trogdor. Alright, how much left of this do we got? Oh Christ, God, there's Dr. B gives us Jack's full backstory, which is not important to the main plot at all, and nobody asked for it. Meanwhile, Jun and Kazuya are trying to survive the relentless Alex assaults, and Lee is just loving this hot dino on human action. Eventually, though, Kazuya gets fed up with this shit and decides to give one of the Raptoids a big heaping mouthful.
You ought to keep your mouth shut.
I guess all the violence and the devil gene is like powering Kazuya up, and that's what gave him the idea to punch the bioweapons really hard. Regardless, Lee can't believe that his lame invisible dinosaurs are lame and quickly runs down to the central tower to square off against Kazuya. One punch is enough to send Lee packing though, and that's also all it'll take for Heihachi to relieve him of his services.
Not over, I'll take...
Everyone Hates Lee, Thursdays at 8 on Fox. Then the fight between father and son finally kicks off, and for all the movie's faults, it ain't half bad. Lee, embarrassed, manic, and wanting to disintegrate due to all the disrespect he's had to endure, guns down all the lab techs that were simply doing their job. This is the true heel right here, folks. He initiates a countdown for the island to explode because it's been rigged with explosives, because of course it was. Program 13 starts running apparently, which tells us to be cautious. And while time ticks down, Lee gets in the final word.
I'll never give it up! Not to anyone!
Man, all the flavors on earth, and this chud chooses to be salty. The alarming alarm then alarms the scientist robot dorks downstairs, who then decide it's probably in their best interest to start legging it. Jack tries to do a Terminator 2 self-sacrifice thing here.
Go now.
But nobody cares. The self-destruct also, I guess, starts to shoot rocks out of the crust of the earth for dramatic purposes, and Kazuya and Heihachi hash out their differences, all to an incredibly inappropriate hip-hop beat.
Never pay the unemployed, coming with velocity, with the needles in the red.
Jun interjects, telling them to break it up, even though their fight is literally the most entertaining bit of this movie. And if you look at your watch, you'll see that it's about the time for the precious childhood memories scene to be dredged up once again, complete with a single tear splashing on the keepsake. This distraction distracts everyone long enough for Sly Heihachi to get a cheap shot in. Good stuff, Jun. We then cut to Lei and crew, who seemingly have made it out via submarine, and I guess all these losers are okay too. Wait, what exactly did this explosion destroy? Everyone seems okay, and look, somehow Kazuya and Jun are fine. The only person that died was Heihachi, maybe? Oh no, look, he's okay too. Sometime later, in a stock MS Word font, Jun is knitting some clothing for the local forest animals, when suddenly...
Jin!
Little baby Jin Kazama runs into the scene. Wait, when did Jun and Kazuya make Whoopi? Did we skip that scene? Did we skip it? We skipped it. Oh, okay. Anyway, Jun's spider sense goes off ever so briefly.
The wind just changed.
She tells Jin everything is fine.
Everything is fine.
Freeze frame, cue the offspring. And we're out. I'm not gonna mince words. I think Tekken is absolutely one of the dirt worst anime adaptations of a fighting game of all time. Whereas earlier SNK stuff isn't, leaps and bounds better, those at least have an authentic early 90s style to them. But everything here is just so cheap, the design's so hideous, and the fights so fleeting and unimpressive, there's not much here that's worth watching or rewatching. Tekken itself is such an awesome series with a good core for the process of dramatization, but this all feels like a huge wasted opportunity that the end product is so unremarkable. Now, you're not going to hear me say this often, but here is one of those few times where the live-action movie is more entertaining than the anime adaptation, because in almost every other instance, that's never the case.
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm the new king of fighters!
Want to see another fighter enter our theater? Well, post some suggestions in the comments below, scream them at me on the Twitters, or fight your way into the Flophouse VIP Patreon to nominate the subject of your choosing. Until then, I'll see you next time in the Fighting Game Theater.
We await your return, warrior.